It is now my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce this year's commencement speaker, Ms. Yulia Gerbut. There is much to be learned from those who have lived a complete life and have earned a commanding view from the high ground. The young can often lose hope because they can't see beyond their screens or beyond the day. Yet I increasingly believe that all that's sacred comes from youth. And yet there is wisdom that the old sometimes can't give away. We all sometimes feel a sense of disenfranchisement and fracture in our increasingly noisy lives, full of things, but too often empty of the important stuff. Sometimes there are lessons to be learned from those who themselves are experiencing fracture and displacement. Excuse me. I've learned from Yulia that victimhood is a state of mind. Refusing to lose hope is a choice. Refusing to fight for your home, your family, is to surrender to strong forces which need ordinary people just to do nothing. What Yulia and so many Ukrainians have shown us is that thrown into extraordinary situations, normal people can tap into reservoirs of courage and resourcefulness that were latent until called upon. The takeaway needs to be that we are all extraordinary people. Some of us just haven't tapped into that reserve yet. Our speaker today is a parent of two Cardigan boys, Max, an 8th grader, and Nikita, a 7th grader. Yulia and her sons found Cardigan through a fire brigade of well-intentioned people who use their own resourcefulness to do some good work in a world that needs it. We at Cardigan were fortunate to be able to host 4 boys from Ukraine. Each has their own story. Each has memories of their journey from home to here that they will never forget. Each has contributed much to our community and will take his equal share when he leaves, just as all of you boys will. Although their path to Cardigan, like all of yours, involved hard work, choices, and opportunity, each of these Ukrainian boys, at his core, is a middle school boy who just wants to learn, play sports, music, act in the theater, and make friends. Their parents want what all parents want: a safe place to learn and grow and to have the best opportunities to succeed that their talents will allow. While Max and Nikita are here at Cardigan, Yulia has been living in New York City and is enrolled in a master's program at Columbia University. I've had occasion to visit her a couple of times when I've been in the city. One time, while we were having coffee together near Columbia, I remarked that escaping Kiev with her kids and leaving her parents behind in Mariupol to fend for themselves must have been the hardest thing in her life. Without hesitating, Yulia said, "No, that wasn't that hard. I did what I had to do for my kids. Anyone would do the same." She then told me the hardest part, and that's not my story to tell. Yulia.
Good morning. Congratulations to all the students for accomplishing so much this year. Me and my family are from Ukraine, an incredibly beautiful, independent country that has been torn apart by Russian aggression. Today, I would like to talk about why education is so important and why your graduation will have a lasting impact on your lives. Education can bring you very far, but the most important thing education does is preparing you for the unknown. It prepares you to respond to changes that you did not see coming. Life is full of ups and downs, and how you respond to change is what matters the most. At some point of my life, the plans I make won't happen, no matter how hard you want them to. You can use confidence that has been sharpened by your education to respond intelligently to the circumstances that are out of your control. I'm proof of this. I have been through many challenges during my life. None of them were the least bit predictable, When I was like you, graduating middle school, I could never, ever imagine my life would turn out like this. And yet, I have experienced an enormous amount of happiness despite this. And this is what an education can and will prepare for you. An education is a stability beneath your feet to be able to face the world fearlessly. Without the security under you, you will be fearful. It's that simple. Education leads to fearlessness. When I was your age, I was perfectionist. I wanted things to happen my way. I mapped out my life. I planned for many years ahead. I would attend high school in the United States before returning to Ukraine. Then I would go to the best university in Eastern Europe, then go to business school. Then I would be elected the first woman president of Ukraine, and then retire in sunny Italy. When I was your age, that was my dream. As a young person, I desperately dreamt of a better life for myself. I pushed myself to go at everything, or I felt myself a failure. One of the challenges of being a perfectionist is that you are constantly unsatisfied with yourself, and this is unhealthy. Pushing yourself is good, but being unsatisfied when things don't go your way is not. That voice inside you that beats you up when things don't happen the way you want is unhealthy. Why? Well, because you can prepare, you can train, you can practice, you can even role play for something, but sometimes stuff happens completely out of control and you can do nothing about it. You can only react. It's like the weather. We all want it to be sunny, but if it rains, we can't do anything about it. We can just smile and open the umbrella, right? We can't change the weather. The education helps us to understand the things we can control and the things we can't, and the difference between the two. I realized this later in my life. You see, completely unexpectedly, I received a gift, very special gift, that changed my life and my outlook, and it's the lesson I wish to pass on to you today. In 2014, I gave birth to my third son, Martin, a bright and loving boy, who together with Max and Nikita made my life. But then something happened in 2016 that I never ever expected in a million years. Beautiful Martin was diagnosed with cancer. It was like a thunderbolt from me. The gift that I received was how young Martin responded to it. While all of us were crazy in fear and sadness, he was not. He was strong, unrelenting, and curious and positive despite all their craziness. Martin passed away 3 years before the war, but he provided me with a lesson that I hold dearly to this day. His reaction to unpredictable circumstances was an inspiration for all of us. I received a second lesson 3 years after his death. It was my birthday. I was out at a famous pizza restaurant in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. After dinner with Max and Nikita, who celebrated with me, we went home to bed. The boys had to go to school early next day, so we put my birthday cake to the fridge and agreed we would eat cake the very next morning before the school. We never got the chance to do that. I was awoken at 5:10 a.m. by a strange sound. I was laying in my bed in my house in a beautiful tree-lined suburb of the capital, much like the towns you all live in, and then I heard a kind of rumble. I remember waking and thinking to myself that it doesn't sound like thunder. It really doesn't sound like anything I ever heard in my life. Later I realized that what I was hearing was the sound of bombs dropping on the people's homes around me. Never in a million years could I have ever thought this could happen, that Russia would dare to invade my home and attack families, children, and communities like you all live in. A few minutes later, I saw an explosion from my bedroom window through my blooming orchids on the windowsill. This is when judgment, prepared by my long education, kicked in, and I quickly made decisions that were life and death decisions. I ran to my son's bedrooms, woke them up, took them downstairs to hide in our tiny sauna, the only room in the house without windows. We stayed there all day as Russian helicopters and warplanes dropped bombs around us, in absolute uncertainty what to do. Then 12 hours later, absolutely exhausted, I put my sons in the car, put our lives into one suitcase, and started our long trip out of Kiev. It was minus 20 degrees, incredibly cold and dark. I drove for days to the border. We joined thousands of other women and children who were escaping Ukraine. During next several days after February 24th, millions of people were forced to flee their homes, searching for the safety and setting the largest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. During next 6 weeks, a quarter of population of Ukraine, 11 million people, had to leave their homes and move to neighboring countries. And I will tell you, it was extremely difficult to leave our home without knowing if we will ever come back. It was scary and very unclear where to go, how to save my children's lives, and escape the war zone. After the long trip through Europe, we made our way to the US, where, once again, I'm building a new life to myself and my family. I'm graduating from Columbia University with a master's degree, and I'm searching for a career in a beautiful new country. A country that already has provided us with so many new relationships and friends, and for this we are eternally thankful. It took me a long time to recognize my life was not going to be perfect. Now I understand that there is no perfect time to do anything. There is no such things as perfect like circumstances. There is no place for being perfect. I realize the perfect time is now. I realize that my education prepared me to make judgment calls and respond to circumstances in the way that provided stability and safety and opportunity. And this is a golden lesson. I realized that my life isn't over just because it looked different than I had originally planned. I realized that crisis does lead to opportunity, and change can lead to something better. As I'm here and I'm in my life where I am today, I just had to trust the time of my life. 2 days ago, I came back from Kiev, my hometown. During my visit, I had a chance to reunite with my parents who had fled eastern part of Ukraine due to the Russian occupation. The destruction of streets and families is devastating. Bombing of the hospitals, maternity wards, schools, theaters, the bombing of children, all seems unimaginable. Despite this, Ukrainians remain resilient, and we continue to strive to live our lives as normally as possible, despite broken homes, broken lives, risks, and danger every day. We do not lose our faith and hope and will. I often remind my sons that with support, anything is possible. History is our guide. Today, Ukraine is the front line in changing world. And what is happening in our country is directly related to the future of this country too. So please continue to stand with Ukraine. We are in this together. I won't lie to you. Life is tough. Life is extremely tough. but it's beautiful too. Life has its twists and turns, ebbs and flows, but joy, agency, compassion will shape you, as will challenges and many bumps in the road. I encourage you all to be open to change. You will not do everything perfectly, I promise. I know it. You will make mistakes. You will not make everything you plan for. There will be a change in well-made plans. Don't beat yourself up if they do not come true. Understand it's a work in progress. Trust the timing of your life. I encourage you all to be ready for change, for challenges, for adventures. And when something doesn't go the way you want it, reflect on it for a day or so, and then just say to yourself, okay, next, and be open to change. So congratulations, graduates. Be grateful, not only for your successes, but also for your losses. I'm so grateful for things in life that didn't work out for me. Because of it, I have the honor to experience this moment here with you today. Thank you so much.